Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Be Better Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Perkins. The mission of the Be Better Podcast is for people to think about life deeper. All right, let's dive into it. I put together what I believe is a very thought-provoking episode called Be Better with Intimate Relationships. I've been dying to do this one for a long time. I just needed some time to gather the research and really put out what I believe is going to be an effective, worthwhile, something you can really use podcast episode. I found a golden nugget in my research, and he is Dr. John Van Epp. Epp is spelled E-P-P. Dr. John Van Epp. I encourage you to look him up, go to his website. He has videos on YouTube. He has a lot of things you can read. He has many books out. One is called, it's really cool titled, it's called How to Avoid Falling in Love with a Jerk. Again, How to Avoid Falling in Love with a Jerk. I encourage you to purchase that. It's a really good book. I have taken tons of notes, so you're going to have to excuse me. I'm going to be reading from my notes from time to time because it's just too much research to retain. He put together in his research a really powerful model. It's called the Relationship Attachment Model, R.A.M, Relationship Attachment Model. And it consists of 5 bonds. And you must use these bonds in progression. There's a bond 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, go in progression. So the 5 bonds are: bond 1 is know, K-N-O-W, get to know someone. Second is trust. Third is rely. The fourth is commit. And the fifth is touch. And as you and I know, as humans, we rush to that touch piece. We don't stop and get to know someone very well first before we start the touching. We're excited about the touching. We got to get to the touching, but the problem is that when we get to the touching, did we really get to know someone? Do we know how good they are with their finances? Are they a hot mess with them? Or are they very conservative with their finances, or somewhere in between? And then did we take time to really build that trust? Do we know we can really rely on them when the tough times come? And then are we really committed to each other? So he's asking us to start with bond 1, then go to bond 2, 3, 4, and 5 to really build that strong relationship. And then when you have a good, strong relationship, those bonds are going to get out of sorts from time to time. So it's kind of like a car. We have to do maintenance on those bonds. So let's dive into it. Bond 1, I'm going to break down some of his notes. He starts with relationships, as we know, can be very beautiful yet complex. For some reason, January is the month called the divorce month. That's since it's a new year, new beginnings, new changes, people jump on that month to file for divorces. Know everyone, and I know you know this, you can be divorced, you can get a divorce at any month. You don't have to wait to the new year. So if something bad happens in July, you don't have to wait all the way until January. You can do it at any time. This is really interesting. He notes that millennials were born between 1981 and 1996. 48%, almost half, believe it's okay to have sex with someone before the first date. This is millennials for you. So that's in his research. Also, he notes we jump to touch first because this generation seems to be influenced by the movies, TV, the social media, and just it seems to be a kind of societal norm to jump to that 5th bond touch before we get to know someone. And again, as I mentioned earlier, jumping to touch without really getting to know someone could lead to a lot of bad things. There's a thing out there that he notes in his research that if you wait beyond the 3rd date to touch, the person believes after the 3rd date that you're not interested in them. So that's interesting. If you don't touch them during the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd date, there's a belief that you are not interested in them. Other things he adds under the no umbrella: 2 dating disclaimers. I think these are pretty profound to share with you. How you treat someone when you start dating them is usually the ceiling for your marriage. So, when we meet people, everything's all honeymoonish and great. But that's going to dwindle down, and then you're going to start seeing the real person about the fifth or sixth month, their habits, their tendencies. Are they really connected to you or not? So be aware of that. And then if you meet someone, this is under his two dating disclaimers. The second one is the bad usually gets worse. So wherever that bad starts, if it starts at the beginning of the relationship, it's going to get worse. All right, another note, love is blind. He states that within the first 8 to 12 months, we lose our minds. We're in love when we're really in lust. And they have done MRI scans. So Dr. Richard Schwartz from the Harvard Medical School and Dr. Helen Fisher from another college, they've both studied by taking MRI brain scans. And when people are in love, the first 8 to 12 months, all of us lose what's called our critical decision making up here. And so that's why they say love is blind, because we're just in love and we just lose our critical decision thinking up in our mind. But good news, after 20 plus months, that comes back to us and we come back to our senses. We get off that cloud nine, and then we start to see, okay, is this person really worthwhile to move forward? Are they really committed to me or not? So that's interesting. That's where the terminology "love is blind" was coined. Is again because in the first 8 to 12 months we lose that critical decision making upstairs here, but we get it back after the 20th month. All right, some final notes under the no umbrella. The number one complaint in marital surveys is that the feeling of not being known or understood by one's partner. That's very interesting that you get to the marriage, and hopefully you've taken a while to get to know each other, but you get to the marriage and there's still a complaint of the feeling of not being known or understood by one's partner. That's why you should go slow when you start to meet someone and date them. And really, I would take at least a year to make sure you get to know them, at least. If you're doing something under that, there could be some consequences down the road. Another note, the struggle of knowing your spouse well. Men and women are incredibly different, especially with communication. Folks, I don't get this one at all. We know on the job we have to communicate to get the things done, our tasks done on the job. But yet when we come home to our spouse, we don't communicate. How are we supposed to get things done if we're not talking? Especially if we're laying side by side in a bed at night sleeping, you can have that pillow talk and go over the week's duties, the plans. Are you picking up Johnny from soccer and so forth and so on? Babe, and having that check-in. How are you feeling? Are we connecting well? Or is there anything that's bothering you? Talk it out and move forward. Communication is very key. I don't understand why couples, when they get into a relationship, they don't communicate. That's really hurtful. Okay, so a few last things under getting to know that bond one. People change in relationships, change with the change. Our bodies change, things change how we live. We may move from home to home. There may be, obviously, there's ups and downs. So, how do we change together? That's the key, together, making sure we change together. Social media. Killing the time should be investing. Yeah. So this cracks me up. I hear this over and over from women. They're basically laying naked in the bed, calling you into the bedroom, and you want to play video games, or you want to be on social media, or you want to go hang with the guys. Guys, if you're at that point where you're turning down hanging with your spouse, making love, spending those moments together, you should move on. You're just not interested anymore. I mean, you have to be honest to yourself and to with your spouse. The average couple speaks less than 20 minutes a day. That goes back to the communication piece. That wow, check that on in your relationship. Less than 20 minutes a day. How can you get things accomplished? How can you grow together? Things to think about. The divorce rate. This is really, and we'll end on this note when it comes to the no. The divorce rate for Christians and non-Christians is about the same. I'm a little surprised and shocked by that, but that's a fact. All right, so we just talked a little bit about no, getting to know your partner, bond one of Dr. John Van Epps' relationship attachment model. Let's move over to the bond number two, trust. Every relationship gets out of balance. We have the kids, we have each other, we have just a lot of responsibilities in the world. Then when that weekend comes where we can relax, we still got duties and things to do and go, go, go. So make sure you find that balance where you have to slow your machine down, your mind and body, and really look at the big picture with your spouse and your family and say, okay, how can we balance this out where it's not all go and we're all stressed out and we're doing things halfway? Something to really think about. Trust takes time, and sometimes it's on your spouse's timeline, not yours. So you got to be open to that. I know that's so hard. It's like, baby, 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 I'm ready to. And she's like, well, I just need a little bit more time. And so you just got to suck it up and realize that that's a give and take, that's a compromise, and that's okay. The definition of trust: a feeling of security or confidence in another person. So that's interesting. A feeling of security or confidence in another person. So herein lies the problem. When you cheat on someone or do something that they don't no longer trust you, trying to get that back is damn near impossible. They just don't trust you anymore. There's that little inkling that, oh, I sent him out, her out to get some groceries. Boy, they're taking longer than normal. Is something going on? They're on the phone with somebody else, texting someone. Your mind starts to go crazy. So once you break that trust, it's very hard to get it back. And if you're lucky, if that other person will give it back to you at 100%. We take only a few data points before deciding to trust. And his caution is be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Taking only a few data points doesn't give you a real sense of that person if you can really trust them. Love each other deeply. Love each other deeply. That's what this is all about: the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we know that good is going to be there much more than the bad and the ugly, but the bad and the ugly are going to come. And how are you going to react? Are you going to be there? Because a relationship is a marathon. It's not just a quick race around a track. All right, let's skip to the third bond, and that's rely. So we talked about trust, bond one. Oh, excuse me. We talked about the bond one being getting to know someone, and then bond two, trusting, building that trust. The bond three in his relationship attachment model is rely. And some notes that I took under rely are: relationships need maintenance. I think I mentioned that before, like a car. We can put the oil, put the tires on, and tune up the engine, and it works great for a while. And then after a while, it needs some maintenance. Maybe new tires. We know every 3 to 7 to 10,000 miles that oil needs to be changed, and so forth and so on. Things happen to the car. Things happen in a relationship. Know that there are, and this is a lot of this is his research, Dr. Van Epps, but I kind of inserted some of my notes into his research, and this is from me. Know that there are two people, folks, two people in a relationship. And therein lies what I'm experiencing out in the dating world, is that women don't understand there's two people. It's not all about you, women. Men, it's not all about you. It goes both ways, 50-50. Now, women, to be real, we'll give you 10% more. So we don't mind, men don't mind if the relationship is 60% in your favor and 40% in the man's favor. We're going to give the woman a little bit more because you're our queens. Don't get out of sorts with that. And don't get too cocky with that, where it's 70-30 and 80-20 and 90-10. That's when you start to lose the other person. So please understand there's two people in a relationship. It's to serve each other, give and take, serve each other, have each other's back. And that's where that rely piece comes in. Some other final notes under rely. Don't rush too quickly to rely on someone before you know and trust them. Again, don't rush too quickly to rely on someone before you know, bond one, and trust them, bond two. You will make better decisions together than apart. So having that relationship where you rely on each other to make decisions, especially huge decisions. One person in the relationship can't say, I want to have a kid. Another person say, no. And then you have a kid. You have to really come to consensus and say, okay, let's have a kid, but the timing's not right. We'll wait 6 months, and then together we'll make sure we do this the right way. We'll step through it the right way. We're both happy. Under rely also, I love this one. The devil loves distance in a relationship. Loves distance. Folks, I don't understand relationships that have distance. People live in different states, or one or both partners are constantly traveling, and then you see each other two, three, four times a month. That is not a relationship. That's not a marriage. That's a friendship. And you shouldn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't get married, because again, that's just it. Hey, we got a place. We see each other here and there. Relationships are an everyday thing, building together every day, building moments, moving together every day, not three or four times a month. So hats off to you guys who are able to pull that off. I know some couples where the wife is a flight attendant and the guy's a businessman and he's in China and she's in Florida, and they see each other, like I said earlier, two, three, four times a month. And they're okay with that. The problem is you're away from each other. And what do people do when they're away from each other? They creep. They get out there, they start cheating. They do. They get easily influenced. You get lonely. We all have needs. So let's be real. So I would hesitate recommending to you to have that type of relationship. But if that's your cup of tea, that's your cup of tea. Another thing under rely, you will make better decisions together than apart. I think I might have said that somewhere in my mix here. So a reminder of that. And then I'll end rely with this. This is really neat. Every hill we climb is together. Many people have uphill hopes with downhill habits. I love that. Every hill we climb together, every hill we climb is together. Many people have uphill hopes with downhill habits. I love that. That's just beautiful because that's true. Everyone wants to be a rock star, but you don't want to put in the work to be a rock star. Everyone wants to get into heaven, but no one wants to die. You see what I'm saying? Everyone has these high hopes, but you got to put in a lot of work. And then 1%, 2% get there, others get halfway there, but at least they're making strides to do bigger, better things at a higher level. So just think about that when it comes to rely. So we talked about know, bond one, trust, bond two, rely, bond three. Now let's go to the final two bonds. Bond four is commit. Commit to your commitments, folks. Commit to your commitments. You made a commitment to walk down the aisle and say those beautiful words to each other, to look each other in the eye. Both of you probably cried. You had a great wedding and wedding reception. Hundreds of people came, or people came, and it was a dedication to each other. Now, when the going gets tough, you got to stick with that commitment. Don't let something hard separate you. And I have a few people coming on in just a little bit to talk about that. Under the commit umbrella, wear your ring in a marriage. I see a lot of people with these plastic or these rubber rings on their ring finger, and they only wear their wedding ring on special times. No, no. Like I heard, there were probably, 40 years ago in church. What did the Reverend say? He said something to the effect that all of you out there have your special china up in the cabinet, waiting for that special moment. And he goes, God is coming any second, so you better get that china down and eat from it and use it right now, because you never know, you might not get to it. That concept applies to the wedding ring. Always wear your wedding ring. That's a commitment to say, hey, I'm in love with X person, and this is a true commitment. These little rubber, plasticky rings, come on, they look really cheesy. Now, some of you have told me, because I've asked, that the reason why you wear that little rubber or the plastic is because you're in jobs where that ring could get dirty. Okay, so take your ring off, but wear the I think it's called the engagement band. Now, that's okay and that's safe to wear, but show representation. Show that you're committed by wearing your full set, or just one part of your set of your ring. When you say something in a marriage, do it. Follow through. I have this problem with people outside. I'm not talking about marriages. I'm kind of ranting off right now, but my number one pet peeve in life is when people say they're going to do something. Hey, I'll call you back in an hour. I'll see you tomorrow. And they don't follow through. How do you look in the mirror? How do you live with yourself? And then they don't communicate with you to say, hey, I can't do it. Just let me know something. But getting off my rant and getting back to this intimate relationships, when you say something in a relationship, do it. The other person is relying on you. keeping your word, and then, like I said before, commit to your commitments. So that is just a little bit of his research, Dr. John Van Epps' research on the commit piece, that bond four. Now, the last bond is touch. Finally, we get to talk about touch because we all love to touch. And some of his research from touch is not just for sex. We could hug each other. We could turn the lights off in the living room, put some nice slow music on, and just dance. I mean, there's all kinds of different types of touches, massaging each other. So it's not all about sex. Also, under touch, he talks about babies that lack human touch have a high death rate. This is why they immediately place the baby on the chest of the mother once born. Lack of touch leads to mood disorders, anxiety disorders, depression, and other mental health concerns. That's what studies show. COVID-19 didn't help us all out. It removed that touching piece and it had major impact on all of us. To repeat, sex is not just physical, it bonds you physically, emotionally, spiritually. It rewires your brain chemistry. Now check this out. If you have premarital sex, you are 3 times more likely to have a divorce, which, okay, it increases your chances of infidelity in a marriage. Okay, that's where that commitment piece comes in. Can I commit to someone without creeping out there in the world and cheating? Because there's always someone more handsome or more beautiful, but you have to commit to what you committed to in your intimate relationship. It goes on to talk about also the number one conflict with sex is frequency. You have to agree on a weekly goal, strive to meet it, and don't be, if you need to cancel, communicate and then reschedule. But there should be that sex piece. Both people really want that. Some in a relationship want it more than the other person. So that's where you communicate and talk it out. Sex needs to be a place of mutuality. So both of you serving one another, mutuality. 75% of couples are not experiencing a mutuality satisfying sex life and not appreciating each other's differences. Wow, 75%. So that a question creeps in my mind of, are we getting to know each other? Or are we in such a rush that we get to know a little bit of each other and then we rush to the sex part, get married, and then, I didn't know, you didn't know. We didn't ask the questions. We didn't take time to get to know each other. Men are like microwaves, hot and cold. Women are like crock pots, nice and slow. Women need non-sexual affection to be turned on sexually. So it goes to that talking, maybe some gift giving, some surprises. Like I mentioned before, something that I was in a relationship years ago and it just turned me on, and the woman initiated it and thought I was going to marry her, but she broke my heart. We were watching TV. She gets up and turns the TV off, turns the light off, puts some nice slow music on, says, let's get up and just slow dance. Blew my mind, loved it. It's just those slow little things, those moments, just some soft touching, major turn on. So things like that. Reading online or books, how can I do things differently to keep a spicy relationship weekly? If you don't keep growing, the devil will keep tempting you. So there's a lot of temptations out there. Check this out, though. This is really this is true. If you are withholding sex, which some people do in relationships, you are sending a starving person into a world that is a food court. There are buffet lines and free samples everywhere, i.e., porn, flirtation, other people, etc., etc. Please, guys and girls, don't do that. Don't do that. Talk it out. Don't starve someone because they're just going to go somewhere else. You know it, and I know it. And the last thing on touched, the fifth bond, you want your intimate relationship to be a playground, not a battleground. A playground. It's fun, joyful. You're enjoying each other. Again, creating those beautiful moments. So I talked about Dr. John Van Epps' relationship attachment model, R.A.M. He has many books out. One of them called How to Avoid Falling in Love with a Jerk. I highly recommend that book. And again, bond one is no. Bond two, trust. Bond three, rely. Bond four, commit. And the fifth bond is touch. Working on those areas, knowing they're going to be out of whack from time to time. They need maintenance like a car. And that's okay because no one's perfect. I want to transition from that to some what I call a little tough love, but take it as a build up, not a beat up. So let's see how open minded you are with this. So, first, I want to start with the men. Men, dress up, dress up, dress up, men. What are you doing? 99.9% of the time when I'm out and about and I see couples, and I don't know if they're married couples or they're in the dating process, the woman is dressed to the nines, beautiful from head to toe. Men, you're sloppy, you look horrible. I want to tell you this, not to be mean, but to build you up. Dress up. Put some nice jeans on or some slacks, some jeans that look like you didn't roll out of bed with them. Some nice shoes. Put some nice shoes on, not sneakers. And then a nice little dress shirt with a vest or a nice polo shirt. And if you're going to wear a hat, the only classy hat that I recommend that you can wear with a casual outfit and a dress up outfit is a fedora. Look that up, a fedora hat. They're really sleek and again, they can go casual. You can go casual with it or dressy with it. But other hats, ladies, if a guy shows up to a date with a baseball cap, run, dump them because that's disrespectful. They haven't taken time to set their tone to be with you. It's very disrespectful if a guy wears a baseball cap. Gentlemen, stop that baseball cap crap, especially turning it backwards. That's for when you're working out or you're at a baseball game or some sports function. That's not for a date. And then cowboy hats. They're out, folks. They've been out for 200 years. Not one cowboy hat looks good on you. So just stop it with the cowboy hats, please. Fedora hats, classy, really look good again with a casual outfit to a dress up outfit. Another thing, men, stop being a control freak. If you got the girl, you got the girl or the guy, whatever your thing is. If you got the person, why do you need to control them? You're already in control. Stop that. I hear women time after time talk about how the men are too controlling. They choked me, they slapped me. Stop that. What grade are we in with that? Really? You're not going to maintain a relationship when you're a control freak. Women, stop settling for guys. Stop it. Just stop it. You don't have to settle. And I've asked women, why are you with this person here? Well, I didn't want to be alone. He was nice to me. Come on. Be patient. You'll find the right guy. Because if you just settle for a guy, now your third, fourth, fifth year, you're looking at yourself like, I really don't want to be with this person. Why am I with this person? How do I get out? And you wasted 3, 4, 5 years. So don't settle. Just take your time and find the right person. Also, ladies, us men ask you, what do you want? And a popular answer for women, everything. Really, women, you want everything? Really, everything? I'm going to be honest with you. Men are exhausted. I talk to hundreds of men, and we're exhausted. We got to chase you down. We got to get you. And then when we get you, we ask you, what do you want? And you want everything. Now it's more work. Remember what I talked about earlier, 50-50, meeting each other halfway. And we're going to give you probably 10% more, that 60-40. And we're fine with that because we want to treat you like our queen or goddess or our princess. But stop saying everything. It's a lot of work on the other person. Then lastly, women, this is a biggie. Stop chasing guys who are tall. A lot of women, I want the tall guy. So let me ask you this. So you want a 6'3" jerk or a 5'7" guy who would treat you like a queen? Remember, laying down in bed, we're all the same height. So if you're 6'3" or 5'7", we can get to the goodies. We can get to the goodies. So stop it. You're limiting yourself to people who are taller. I'm sure there's great tall guys out there, but come on, there's a lot of 5'7", 5'8", 5'9" guys who are great and would treat you like a princess. So don't limit yourself to tall guys only. It's a little silly to do that because, again, you're leaving out some great guys. All right. I want to hear from you. Do you agree with that stuff or not? What I said earlier, give me some feedback. I want to hear from you. Let the debating begin. I want to share with you some really cool things. One is Chris Rock, the comedian. He talks about relationships. And then one is from a minister. He has some great points. And he's not going to be preachy. He's going to be down to earth, real, everyday stuff. And he's with Not Easily Broken Ministries. KNOT, Easily Broken Ministries. So let's listen to both of them. I got to cue it up. Here we go. Wishes without work. Oops, the wrong one.
People say, oh, relationships are tough. No, they're not. They're only tough when one person's working on it. Two people can move a couch real easy. One person can't move it at all. You're in a relationship, let me try to help you right now. Rule one, stop competing. Her success is your success, and your success is her success. Number two, there is no equality in a relationship. It's like, we equal, say that.
No, you're not.
You're both there to serve. You are in the service industry, okay? You're in a band. And when you're in a band, you have roles that you play in the band. Sometimes you sing lead, and sometimes you're on tambourine. And if you're on tambourine, play it right. Fucking smile. Because nobody wants to see a mad tambourine player.
All right, I love that by Chris Brock. Again, comment. Let's talk about this. Do you agree with what he's saying? What I'm saying? Give me your input. And then this is again from Not Easily Broken Ministries. This minister had a great point. Had great points. Let's listen to him.
It's better to resolve a conflict than to dissolve a relationship. Most of us have never learned that. And we live in a cancel culture. You do something I don't like, I get rid of you. You rub me the wrong way, I don't make space for you to be human. And I've seen it happen over the years as I've counseled, hundreds, if not thousands of couples over 36 years of pastoral ministry. Sometimes the husband doesn't give the wife space to be human, or the wife doesn't give her husband space to be human. If they see their flawed behavior, or flawed attitude, or a complicated background, and so they put them on this pedestal and they want to be perfect. But no one's perfect.
No one.
We don't give people space for that. Space to grow. Space to mature. Space to be a human.
So some more food for thought. Chris Rock, and then the ministry from Not Easily Broken. Again, and then the things I've said about the Dr. John Van Epp relationship attachment model, the 5 bonds. I would love to hear some feedback. These are some interesting points. Thank you, as always, for following me. I do this just to get wisdom and positivity and some knowledge out to the world. And if you love this, please practice this. And if you love it also, share it with other people. You can find me on Spotify. Please follow me. The Be Better podcast, Dr. Anthony J. Perkins. I'm also on Apple and Google. So follow me on those platforms, please. I have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that. Just go to YouTube and type in Dr. Anthony J. Perkins. I have my video versions of my podcasts on there, and I did some amateur inspirational videos a couple years ago. There's plenty of those on there to help you out throughout the weeks and months. I'm also on LinkedIn, Dr. Anthony J. Perkins, on TikTok and Instagram. TikTok and Instagram, my handle is Perkup67, PERKUP67, the numbers. I'm also on Facebook, Anthony J. Perkins. I believe I covered all the social media bases and platforms out there that I'm on. If you want to go to my website, it's perkup-you.com, PERKUP-you.com. I have my books for sale on there. My latest book is called I Against I, Getting Out of Your Own Way to Succeed. And I have my other books on there. You can also book me on there or ask me questions on there, and I will get back to you. But again, thank you so much for following me. My followers, my people who are following me, there you go, it's increasing slowly, and I appreciate that. But share this content with others just to spread, again, knowledge, positivity, wisdom in the world. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.